My name is Sarah. If you don't know me, I work here in the library. This event has come together with collaboration from student involvement, especially Lamont over there. Thank you so much, Lamont, for your help. We also got the input of the Poetry Club, the Black Student Caucus, and the Tower, and just various students, and I'd really like to thank them. This should be a pretty chill evening. We're just here to listen to some words and just appreciate the time. I originally thought of this because, we're in the 20s, and I thought about what was in the 20s. But just to talk about the Harlem Renaissance a little bit, because I realized I don't know much about it myself. It's named after the Harlem Renaissance in the Manhattan borough of New York City. And the Harlem Renaissance itself was at its peak in the 1920s and 30s, even though it went on a little bit after that and kind of was influenced by things that went on before that. It's known as a time of jazz and poetry and Black artists, but it's also a time of writing publications from Black people and sports and political leaders and civil rights activists. And some of the activists are like Alan Leroy Locke, considered to be the father of the Harlem Renaissance, Marcus Garvey, Madam C.J. Walker, who's going to get a TV show soon that I'm really excited about, played by Octavia Spencer, and many more. But with that in mind, I encourage you all to look into the era a little bit more, as Black History Month is ending, but you can still look into the history and read the works and just enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the show. And first up, we'll have OUMA with some works from Langston Hughes. Unless OUMA is not here, in which case we will have Laura Mitchell with Thank You, Ma'am, also by Langston.
Hi everyone. Hello. Okay, so just a little background. This short story was published in 1958, and it's about a boy gaining respect for a woman that he had intentions on wronging. So, yeah. She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it but handmade nails. It had a long strap and she carried it slung across her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and she was walking along when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. The strap broke with a single tug the boy gave it from her hand. But the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose his balance. So instead of taking off full blast as he had hoped, the boy fell on his back on the sidewalk, and his legs flew up. The woman simply turned around and kicked him right square in his blue jean sitter. Then she reached down, picked the boy up by his shirt front, and shook him and took his teeth rattled. After that, the woman said, "Pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here." She still held him, but she bent down enough to permit him to stoop and pick up her purse. Then she said, "Now ain't you ashamed of yourself?" Firmly gripped by his shirt front, the boy said, "Yes, ma'am." The woman said, "What did you want to do it for?" The boy said, "I didn't aim to." She said, "You a lie." By that time, 2 or 3 people passed, stopped, turned to look, and some stood watching. "If I turn you loose, will you run?" asked the woman. "Yes, ma'am," said the boy. "Then I won't turn you loose," said the woman. She did not release him. "I'm very sorry, lady. I'm sorry," whispered the boy. "And your face is dirty. I've got a great mind to wash your face for you. Ain't you got nobody home to tell you to wash your face?" "No, ma'am," said the boy. "Then it will get washed this evening," said the large woman, starting up the street, dragging the frightened boy behind her. Okay. He looked as if he were 14 or 15, frail and willow-wowed in tennis shoes and blue jeans. The woman said, "You ought to be my son. I will teach you right from wrong. Least I can do right now is wash your face. Are you hungry?" "No, ma'am," said the boy, being dragged. "I just wanted you to turn me loose." "Was I bothering you when I turned that corner?" asked the woman. "No, ma'am." "But you put yourself in contact with me," said the woman. "If you think that the contact is not going to last a while, you got another thought coming. When I get through with you, sir, you are going to remember Mrs. Llewellyn Bates Washington Jones." Sweat popped out on the boy's face and he began to struggle. Mrs. Jones stopped, jerked him up around in front of her, put a half Nelson around his neck, and continued to drag him up the street. When she got to her door, she dragged the boy inside, down the hall, and into a large kitchenette furnished room at the rear of the house. She switched on the light and left the door open. The boy could hear other roommates laughing and talking in the large house. Some of their doors were open too. So he knew he and the woman were not alone. The woman still had him by the neck in the middle of her room. She said, "What is your name?" "Roger," answered the boy. "Then, Roger, you will go to that sink and wash your face," said the woman. Whereupon she turned him loose at last. Roger looked at the door, looked at the woman, looked at the door, and went to the sink. "Let the water run until it gets warm," she said. "Here's a clean towel." "You gonna take me to jail?" asked the boy, bending over the sink. "Not with that face. I will not take you nowhere," said the woman. "Here I am trying to get home to cook me a bite to eat, and you snatch my pocketbook? Maybe you ain't been to your supper either, late as it be, have you?" "There's nobody home at my house," said the boy. "Then we'll eat," said the woman. "I believe you're hungry, or been hungry, to try to snatch my pocketbook." "I wanted a pair of blue suede shoes," said the boy. "Well, you didn't have to snatch my pocketbook to get some blue suede shoes," said Miss Llewellyn Bates Washington Jones. "You could have asked me, ma'am." The water dripping from his face, the boy looked at her. There was a long pause, a very long pause. After he dried his face, and not knowing what else to do, dried it again. The boy turned around, wondering what next. The door was open. He could make a dash for it down the hall. He could run. The woman was sitting on the daybed. After a while, she said, "I were young once, and I learned things I could not get." There was another long pause. The boy's mouth opened. Then he frowned, but not knowing he frowned. The woman said, "Ahem. You thought I was going to say, but, didn't you? You thought I was going to say, but I didn't snatch people's pocketbooks." "Well, I wasn't going to say that." Pause. Silence. "I have done things too, which I would not tell you, son. You would tell God if he didn't already know. So you sit down while I fix us something to eat. You might run that comb through your hair so you look presentable." In another corner of the room behind the screen was a glass plate and an icebox. Mrs. Jones got up and went behind the screen. The woman did not watch the boy to see if he was going to run now, nor did she watch her purse, which she left behind her on the daybed. But the boy took care to sit on the far side of the room, where he thought she could easily see him out of the corner of her eye, if she wanted to. He did not trust the woman not to trust him, and he did not want to be mistrusted now. "Do you need somebody to go to the store?" asked the boy, "maybe to get some milk or something?" "Don't believe I do," said the woman, "unless you just want sweet milk yourself. I was going to make cocoa out of this canned milk I got here." "That would be fine," said the boy. She heated some round beans and ham she had in the icebox, made the cocoa, and set the table. The woman did not ask the boy anything about where he lived or his folks or anything else that would embarrass him. Instead, as they ate, she told him about her job in a hotel beauty shop that stayed open late, what the work was like, and how all kinds of women came in and out, blondes, redheads, and Spanish. Then she cut him a half of her 10-cent cake. "Eat some more, son," she said. When they were finished eating, she got up and said, "Now here, take this $10 and buy yourself some blue suede shoes. And next time, do not make the mistake of latching onto my pocketbook, nor nobody else's, because shoes come by devilish like that will burn your feet. I got to get my rest now, but I wish you would behave yourself, son, from here on in." She led him down the hall to the front door and opened it. "Good night, behave yourself, boy," she said, looking out into the street. The boy wanted to say something else other than, "Thank you, ma'am," to Miss Llewellyn Bates Washington Jones, but he couldn't do so as he turned at the barren stoop and looked back at the large woman in the door. He barely managed to say, "Thank you," before she shut the door, and he never saw her again.
I read that when I was a little kid. I remember that. That brought back some memories. So next we'll have Dr. Habar, who will be reading selections from Fire magazine. Please tell them the fun fact that you told me. Please do.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all. Happy to be here. So I'm reading selections from this magazine from 1926. It's called Fire, And the fun fact is, there was only one issue of Fire from the Harlem Renaissance, even though it was fostered by the likes of Zora Neale Hurston, Langston Hughes, Aaron Douglas, Wallace Thurman, so many others. Anyone know why there was only one issue? Because the building it was headquartered in burned down. Yeah, and so they did not pursue making another edition. Although, as you know, and as Sarah has told us, many of these poets went on to have fantastic careers. So the first poem I'm reading is called From the Dark Tower by a major Harlem Renaissance poet, County Cullen. From the Dark Tower. We shall not always plant while others reap the golden increment of bursting fruit, nor always countenance, abject and mute, that lesser men should hold their brothers cheap. Not everlastingly while others sleep shall we beguile their limbs with mellow flute, not always bend to some more subtle brute. We were not made eternally to weep. The night whose sable breast relieves the stark white stars is no less lovely, being dark. And there are buds that cannot bloom at all in light, but crumple, piteous, and fall. So in the dark we hide the heart that bleeds and wait and tend our agonizing seeds. This next poem is called A Southern Road, and it's by Helene Johnson. You kind of have to pay attention to this one to figure out what it's about. Yolk-colored tongue, parched beneath a burning sky, a lazy little tune hummed up the crest of some soft, sloping hill. One streaming line of beauty flowing by a forest pregnant with tears. A hidden nest for beauty idly flung by God in one lonely, lingering hour before the Sabbath. A blue-fruited black gum, like a tall predella, bears a dangling figure, sacrificial dower to the wrath, swinging alone, a solemn, tortured shadow in the air. Okay, this next poem is called Jungle Taste, and it's by Edward Silvera. And another fact about this collection being in 1926 and having others like Langston Hughes involved is that it was controversial because there were some who felt that this, being a collection by largely younger artists at the time, was not representative of the best of African American identity at the time, the New Negro movement, sort of what was Black America supposed to be. Many felt that this volume was catering to stereotypes, and so there was some tension even amongst the artists that I have read in terms of what should be said and what shouldn't be said. So this is Jungle Taste by Edward Silvera. There is a coarseness in the songs of Black men, coarse as the songs of the sea. There is a weird strangeness in the songs of Black men, which sounds not strange to me. There is beauty in the faces of Black women, jungle beauty and mystery, dark hidden beauty in the faces of Black women, which only Black men see. And this is a poem by Langston Hughes called Elevator Boy. I got a job now, running an elevator in the Denison Hotel in Jersey. Job ain't no good though. No money around. Jobs are just chances like everything else. Maybe a little luck now, maybe not, maybe a good job sometimes. Stick out of the barrel, boy. 2 new suits and a woman to sleep with? Maybe no luck for a long time. Only the elevator going up and down, or somebody else's shoes to shine, or greasy pots in a dirty kitchen. I've been running this elevator too long. Maybe I'll quit now. And my final 2 poems are by the same poet at the end of this first and only volume of Fire. And they are by Louis Grandison Alexander. The first is called Little Cinderella. You might want to listen to figure out what this one is about. Look me over, kid, I knows I'm neat. Little Cinderella from head to feet. Drinks all night at Club Alabama. What comes next, I don't give a damn. Daddy, daddy, you sure looks keen. I likes men that are long and lean. Broad Street ain't got no brighter lights than your eyes at pitch midnight. And this last one is called Streets. Avenues of dreams, boulevards of pain, moving black streams, shimmering like rain. Thank you very much.
Okay, and now we'll have another professor, Dr. Winter Parks. And she will be reading Claude McKay and Aimé César. Excuse me if I butchered that.
Good evening, everyone. In case you're wondering what the heck a Jamaican and a Martinican has to do with the Harlem Renaissance, it just goes to show you that in that time, the Black experience had many contributors and had many textures. So the first one I'm going to read is the one from Claude McKay, the Jamaican. If We Must Die. It appeared in the 1919 The Liberator, and it was in the context of the Red Summer, the mob attacks. If we must die, let it not be like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot, while round us bark the mad and hungry dogs, making their mock at our accursed lot. If we must die, oh, let us nobly die, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain, then even the monsters we defy shall he constrain to honor us though dead. O kinsmen, we must meet the common foe. Though far outnumbered, let us show brave, and for their 1,000 blows deal one death blow. What though before us lies the open grave? Like men, we'll face the murderous, cowardly path, pressed to the wall, dying, but fighting back. The second one, by Aimé César, was a French poet, author, politician, and he came to found Négritude off of his inspiration from the Harlem Renaissance. And I'm going to read a poem that he titled Emmett Till. And it's fitting that Congress has now passed the 120 years later. It's now on the Senate where this will be recognized, any kind of lynching will be recognized as a crime and punishable for death in jail. So Aimé César registers, he tries to ascribe meaning to this incomprehensible crime there was never any justice for it. He registers the pain and the bitter rage of the blatant racism and hatred. And then he assigns guilt as a form of giving justice. Emmett Till, your eyes were a sea conch in which the heady battle of your 15-year-old blood sparkled. Even young, they never had any age, or rather more than all the skyscrapers, 5 centuries of torturers, of witch burners weighed on them. 5 centuries of cheap gin, of big cigars, of fat bellies filled with slices of rancid bibbles. A 5-century mouth bitter with dowager sins. They were 5 centuries old. Emmett Till, 5 centuries is the ageless age of Cain's stake. Emmett Till, I say, in the heart zero of blood, not a drop. And as for yours, made hide my son, made mixed with my bread. Hey, Chicago boy, is it still true that you're worth as much as a white man? Spring, he believed in you. Even at the edge of night, at the edge of the Mississippi, rolling its bars, its barriers, its tomb-like avalanches between the high banks of racial hatred. In spring, rushing its murmurs into the portholes of eyes. In spring, hound calling, the bovine panic in the savannas of the blood. In spring, slipping the gloves from its fine hands in a burst of shells and silicae, loosener of fear clots, dissolver of the clots of hatred, swollen with age and in the flow of blood streams carrying the hazardous rubric of stalked beasts. But they were invulnerable, sluggish as they were, and mounted massively on bizarre, immemorial billy goats. Chicago boy, all gone with the bleating of the racial wind. He listens in the blue bush of veins to the steady singing of the bloodbird. He anticipates above the banks of sleep. Sun, the rise of your furtive step, a vehement fish in the astonishing blue field. Then night remembered its arm, a vampire's flabby flight suddenly hovering, and big Millam's cold 45 wrote the verdict and the State of the Union in rust letters on the living black wall. 20 years of zinc, 15 years of copper, 15 years of oil, and the 180th year of these states, but in the heart unfeeling clockwork, what? Nothing, zero. Of blood not a drop, in the white heart's tough antiseptic neat, followed by on the State of the Union. I imagine this message in Congress on the State of the Union, situation tragic. Left underground only 75 years of iron, 50 years of cobalt, but 55 years worth of sulfur and 20 of bauxite. In the heart, what? Nothing, zero. Mine without ore, cavern in which nothing prowls, of blood, not a drop left. Thank you.
Next we'll have Tanya Taylor, Black Woman by Georgia Douglas Johnson.
Hi. As you heard, this poem is called Black Woman. It's by Georgia Douglas Johnson. Don't knock at my door, little child. I cannot let you in. You know not what a world this is of cruelty and sin. Wait in the still eternity until I come to you. The world is cruel, cruel, child. I cannot let you in. Don't knock at my heart, little one. I cannot bear the pain of turning deaf ear to your call time and time again. You do not know the monster men inhabiting the earth. Be still, my precious child. I must not give you birth. Thank you.
Okay, and now we'll have Theo Williams with Black Death by Zora Neale Hurston. Hi there.
Hi, as already stated, this is a short story called Black Death. We Negroes in Eatonville know a number of things that the hustling, bustling white man never dreams of. He is a materialist with little care for overtones. For instance, if a white person were halted on the streets of Orlando and told that old man Morgan, the excessively black Negro hoodoo man, can kill any person indicated and paid for without ever leaving his house or even seeing his victim, he'd laugh in your face and walk away, wondering how long the Negro would wallow in ignorance and superstition. But no black person in a radius of 20 miles would smile not much. They know. His achievements are far too numerous to mention singly. Besides, many of his curses or conjures are kept secret. But everybody knows that he puts the loveless curse on Della Lewis. She's been married 7 times, but none of her husbands have ever remained with her longer than 28 days that Morgan has prescribed as the limit. Hiram Lester's left track was brought to him with $5, and when the new moon came again, Lester was stricken with paralysis while working his orange grove. There were the bloody flux that he put on Lucy Pop. He caused Emma Taylor's teeth to drop out. He put the shed skin of a black snake in Horace Brown's shoe and made him as the wandering Jew. He put a sprig in Lena Merchant's hair in a bottle, corked it, and threw it into a running stream with the neck pointing upstream, and she went crazy. He buried Lily Wilcox's fingernails with lizard's feet and dried up her blood. All these things and more can be easily proven by the testimony of the villagers. They ought to know. He lives alone in a 2-room hut down by Lake Bluesink, the bottomless. His eyes are reddish and large with gold hoops and earrings jangling on either side of his shrunken black face, make the children shriek in terror whenever they see him on the street or in the woods where he goes to dig roots for his medicines. But the doctor cannot spend his time merely making folks ill. He has sold himself to the devil over the powerful black cat's bones that alone will float upstream, and many do what he wills. Life and death are in his hands. He sometimes kills. He sent old Lady Crooms to her death in the lake. She was a rival hoodoo doctor and laid claims to equal power. She came to her death one night. That very morning, Morgan had told several that he was tired of her presence. He would put an end to it and prove his powers. That very afternoon near sundown, she went down to the lake to fish, telling her daughter, however, that she did not wish to go, but something seemed to be forcing her. About dusk, someone heard her scream and rushed to the lake. She had fallen in and drowned. The white coroner from Orlando said she had met her death by falling into the water during an epileptic fit, but the villagers knew. White folks are very stupid about some things. They can think mightily but cannot feel. But the undoing of Boo Diddley was his masterpiece. He had come to Eatonville from up north somewhere. He was a waiter at the Park House Hotel over in Maitland, where Dosia Bodger was a chambermaid. She had a very pretty brown body and face, sang alto in the Methodist choir, and played the blues on her guitar. Soon Boo Diddley was with her every moment he could spare from his work. He was stuck on her all right for a time. They would linger in the shrubbery about Park Lake, or go for long walks in the woods on Sunday afternoons to pick violets. They were abundant in Florida woods in winter. The Park House was always closed in April, and Boo was planning to go north with the white tourists. It was then that Dosia's mother discovered that Bo should have married her daughter weeks before. "Miss Diddley," said Mrs. Bodger, "I'm a widower woman, and Dosia is all I got. I know you's going to do what you oughta." She hesitated a moment and steadied her face. "Thou no trouble. I don't want to make no talk around town." In a split second, the vicious, smiling Bo had vanished. A very hard, trifling stranger occurred and occupied his chair. "Look here, Miss Bodger. I'm a man that's traveled a lot, been most everywhere. Don't try to come that stuff over me. What I got to marry Dosia for?" Cuz, the surprise of his answer threw the old woman into a panic. "You's the cause of her condition, ain't you?" Dosia, embarrassed, mortified, began to cry. "Oh, I see the little plot now." He glanced maliciously towards the girl and back again to her mother. "But I'm none of your down south country suckers. Go try that on some of these clodhoppers. Don't try to lie on me. I got money to fight." "Bo," Dosia sobbed, "you ain't calling me a lie, is you?" And her misery, she started towards the man who through 4 months' constant association and assurance she had learned to love and trust. "Yes, you're lying, you sneaking little. Oh, you're not even good sawdust. Me marry you? Why would I pick up a better woman out in the gutter than you? I'm a married man anyway, so you might as well forget your little scheme." Dosia fell back stunned. "But Bo, you said you wasn't," Dosia wailed. "Oh," Bo replied, with a gesture of dismissal for the whole affair. "What difference does it make? A man will say anything at times. There are certain kinds of women that men always lie to." In her mind's eyes, Dosia saw things for the first time without her tinted glasses, and real terror seized her. She fell upon her knees and clenched the nattily clad legs of her seducer. "Oh, Bo," she wept, struggling to hold him, as he, fearing for the creases of his trousers, struggled to free himself. "You said, you promised." "Oh, well, you ought not to have believed me. You ought to have known I didn't mean it. Anyway, I'm not going to marry you, so what are you going to do? Do whatever you feel big enough to try. My shoulders are broad." He left the house, hating the two women more bitterly, as only we hate those we have injured. At the hotel, omitting mention of his show of affection, his pleas, his solemn promises to Dosia, he told the other waitresses how that piece of the earth's refuse had tried to indulge, to force him into a marriage. He enlarged upon his theme and told them all, in strict confidence, how she had been pursuing him all winter. how she had waited to ambush him and again and dragged him down by the lake. And well, he was only human. It couldn't have happened with the right kind of girl. And he thought too much of himself to marry any other than the country's best. So the next day, Eatonville knew that the scourge of tongues was added to Dosia's woes. Mrs. Bogger and her daughter kept strictly indoors, suffering, weeping, growing bitter. Mama, if he just hadn't tried to make me out a bad girl, I could look over the rest of town. Mama, but he tried to make out a... She broke down weeping again. Drip, drip, drip went her daughter's tears on the old woman's heart, each drop calcifying a little bit of fibers till the end of 4 days, the petrifying process was complete. Where once had been a warm plus pulsing flesh was now cold, heavy stone, that pulled down, pressing out normal life and bowing the heads of her. The woman died, and in that heavy, cold stone, a female tiger was born. She was ready to answer the question Bo had flung so scornfully at her old head. Well, what are you going to do? Dosia slept, huddled on the bed. A hot, salt tear rose to Mrs. Rogers' eye and heavily rolled down the quivering nose. Must Dosia awake always to that awful desolation, robbed of everything, even faith? She knew that then the world's greatest crime is not murder. Its most terrible punishment is meted to her of too much faith, too great a love. She turned down the light and stepped into the street. It was near midnight and the village slept, but she knew of one house where there would be a light, one pair of eyes always awake. As she approached Blue Sink, she all but turned back. It was a dark night, but the lake shimmered and glowed like the philosophers near the shore. It seemed that figures moved about onto the quiet surface. She remembered that folks said Blue Sink, the bottomless, was Morgan's graveyard and all of Africa awoke in her blood. A cold, prickly feeling stole over her and stood her hair on end. Her feet grew heavy and her tongue dry and stiff. In the swamp at the head of the lake, she saw a jack-o'-lantern darting here and there, and 300 years of America passed like the mist of morning. Africa reached out its dark hand and claimed its own. Drums, tum, 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 beat in her ears. Strange demons seized her. Witch doctors danced before her, laid hands upon her alternately, freezing and burning her flesh, until she found herself within the house of Morgan. She was not permitted to tell her story. She opened her mouth, but the old man chewed a camphor leaf or two, spat into a small pail of sand, and asked, "How do you want to kill him? By water, by sharp edge, or a bullet?" The old woman almost fell off her chair in amazement that he knew her mind. He merely chuckled a bit and handed her a drinking gourd. Dip out a teeny bit of water and put it on the floor. By that time you'll know. She dipped in the water out of a wooden pail and poured it upon the rough floor. "I want to shoot him, but how can I thought?" "Look here," Morgan directed and pointed to a huge mirror, scarred and dusty. He dusted its face carefully. "Look in this glass. The thought turned in your head, and when he comes, you shoot to kill. Take good aim." Both faced about and gazed hard into the mirror that reached from floor to ceiling. Morgan turned once to spit into the pail of sand. The mirror grew misty, darker, near the center. Then Mrs. Bogger saw Bo walk into the center of the mirror and standing, looking at her, glaring and sneering. She all but fainted in superstitious terror. Morgan thrust the gun into her hand. She saw the expression on Bo Diddley's face change from scorn to fear, and she laughed. "Take good aim," Morgan continued. "You can't shoot but once." She leveled the gun at the heart of the apparition in the glass and fired. It collapsed. The mirror grew misty again, then clear. In horror, she flung her money at the old man, who seized it greedily and fled into the darkness, dreading nothing, thinking only of putting distance between her and the house of Morgan. The next day, Eatonville was treated to another thrill. It seemed that Bo Diddley, the darling of the ladies, was in the hotel yard making love to another chambermaid. In order that she might fully appreciate what great victory was hers, he was reciting the conquest of Dosia, how she loved him, pursued him, knelt down and kissed his feet, begging him to marry her, when suddenly he stood up very straight, clasped his hand over his heart, grew rigid, and fell dead. The coroner's verdict was death from natural causes, heart failure, but they were mystified by what looked like a powder burned directly over the heart. But the Negroes knew instantly when they saw that mark, but everyone agreed that he got justice. Mrs. Bogger and Dosia moved to Jacksonville, where she married well. And the white folks never knew and would have laughed had anyone told them, so I mention it. Thank you.
So next we'll have Dee Dee Boney, and she'll be reading some Helene Johnson.
Hello. So the first poem that I will be reading is Bottled by Helene Johnson. Upstairs on the third floor of the 135th Street Library in Harlem, I saw a little bottle of sand, brown sand, just like the kids make pies out of down on the beach. But the label said, this sand was taken from the Sahara Desert. Imagine that, the Sahara Desert. Some bozo's been all the way to Africa to get some sand. And yesterday on 7th Avenue, I saw a darky dressed fit to kill in yellow gloves and a swallowtail coat and circling a cane. And everyone was laughing at him. Me too, at first, till I saw his face. When he stopped to hear an organ grinder grind out some jazz. Boy, you should have seen that darky's face. It just shone. Gee, was he happy. And he began to dance. No Charleston or black bottom for him, no sir. He danced just as dignified and slow. No, not slow either. Dignified and proud. You couldn't call it slow, not with all the cutting up he did. You would have just died to see him. The crowd kept yelling, but he didn't hear. He kept on dancing and twirling that cane and yelling out every once in a while. I know the crowd thought he was cuckoo, but say, I was where I could see his face. And somehow I could see him dancing in the jungle, a real honest to crack jungle, and he would not have had them on. Trick clothes, the yellow shoes and yellow gloves, and swallowtail coat, he would not have on anything. He wouldn't be carrying a cane. He'd be carrying a spear with a fine point and a bayonet we had over there. And the end of it would be dipped in some kind of hoodoo poison, and he'd be dancing black and naked and gleaming. And he'd have rings in his ears and on his nose and bracelets and necklaces of elephant's teeth. Gee, I bet he'd be beautiful then, all right. No one would laugh at him then, I bet. Say, that man who took the sand from the Sahara Desert and put it in a little bottle on the shelf in the library, that's what they done to the shine, ain't it? Bottled him. Trick shoes, trick coat, trick cane, trick everything. All glass. But inside, gee, that poor shine. So just a little context about that poem. It's basically somebody realizing the roots of where they were taken from in Africa to what they've been misconstrued as now. The next poem that I'll be reading is a sonnet to a Negro in Harlem. You are disdainful and magnificent, your body perfect and your pompous gait, your dark eyes flashing solemnly with hate. Small wonder that you are incompetent, too intimate to those whom you despise. Your shoulders tower high above the throne, your head thrown back in a rich barbaric song. Palm trees and mangoes stretch before your eyes. Let others toil in the sweat of labor's sake, and wring from grasping hands their need of gold. Why urge ahead your supercilious feet? Scorn will efface each footprint that you make. I love your laughter, arrogant and bold. You are too splendid for this city street. The next poem that I'm going to read is To a Dark Girl by Gwendolyn B. Bennett. I love you for your brownness and the round darkness of your breast. I love you for the breaking sadness in your voice and shadows where your wayward eyelids rest. Something of old forgotten queens lurks in the life abandoned of your walk, and something of the shackled slave sobs in the rhythm of your talk. Oh, little brown girl, born for sorrow's meed, keep all you have of queenliness, forgetting that you were once a slave, and let your full lips laugh at fate. The last poem that I'll be reading is also by Gwendolyn B. Bennett, and it is called Heritage. I want to see the slim palm trees pulling at the clouds with little pointed fingers. I want to see light Negro girls etched dark against the sky while sunset lingers. I want to see the silent sand singing to the moon before the sinks still face. I want to hear the chanting around the heathen fire of strange black race. I want to breathe the lotus flower, sighing to the stars with tendrils drinking at the Nile. I want to feel the surging of my sad people's soul, hidden by a minstrel's smile.
So next we'll have Nadine with a selection from Native Son by Richard Wright.
Hello. Hello. Actually, good evening. Today I will be reading a selection from Richard Wright's novel, Native Son. Now, Native Son is not known for being a particularly humorous novel. It's actually exceptionally tragic, but I found a passage that I thought was funny, poignant, and actually important to the novel as a whole. And so the way I feel about it is it's funny, but it kind of cuts you with its bitterness. And in the words of the ill lyricist Lil Wayne, just to keep from crying, I laughed. So, look, Bigger said. What? That plane, riding up there, Bigger said, pointing. Oh. They squinted at a tiny ribbon of unfolding vapor that spelled out the word, use. The plane was so far away that at times the strong glare of the sun blanked it from sight. You could hardly see it, Gus said. Looks like a little bird. Bigger breathed with childlike wonder. That white boy sure can fly, Gus said. Yeah, Bigger said wistfully. They get a chance to do everything. Noiselessly, the tiny plane looped and veered, vanishing and appearing, leaving behind it a long trail of white plumage, like coils of fluffy paste being squeezed from a tube. A plume coil that grew and swelled and slowly began to fade into the air at the edges. The plane wrote another word. Speed? How high do you reckon he is? Bigger asked. I don't know, maybe 100 miles, maybe 1,000. I could fly one of them things if I had a chance, Bigger mumbled reflectively, as though talking to himself. Gus pulled down the corners of his lips, stepped out from the wall, squared his shoulders, doffed his cap, bowed low, and spoke with mock deference. Yes, sir. You go to hell, Bigger said, smiling. Yes, sir, Gus said again. I could fly a plane if I had a chance, Bigger said. If you wasn't black, and if you had some money, and if they let you go to that aviation school, you could fly a plane, Gus said. For a moment, Bigger contemplated all the ifs that Gus had mentioned. Then both boys broke into hard laughter, looking at each other through squinted eyes. When their laughter subsided, Bigger said in a voice that was half question and half statement, "It's funny how the white folks treat us, ain't it?" It better be funny, Gus said. Maybe they're right in not wanting us to fly, Bigger said. Because if I took a plane up, I'd take a couple of bombs along and drop them as sure as hell. They laughed again, still looking upward. The plane sailed and dipped and spread another word against the sky. Gasoline. Use speed gasoline, Bigger mused, rolling the word slowly from his lips. God, I'd like to fly up there in that sky. God'll let you fly when he gives you your wings up in heaven, Gus said. They laughed again, reclining against the wall, smoking, the lids of their eyes drooped softly against the sun. Cars whizzed past on rubber tires. Bigger's face was metallically black in the strong sunlight. There was in his eyes a pensive, brooding amusement, as of a man who had been long confronted and tantalized by a riddle whose answer seemed always just on the verge of escaping him, but prodding him irresistibly on to seek its solution. The silence irked Bigger. He was anxious to do something to evade looking so squarely at the problem. Let's play white, Bigger said, referring to a game of play acting in which he and his friends imitated the ways and manners of white folks. I don't feel like it, Gus said. General, Bigger pronounced in a sonorous tone, looking at Gus expectantly. Oh hell, I don't want to play, Gus whined. You'll be court-martialed, Bigger said, snapping on his words with military precision. Nigga, you nuts, Gus laughed. General, Bigger tried again determinedly. Gus looked wearily at Bigger, then straightened, saluted, and answered, yes, sir. Send your men over the river at dawn and attack the enemy's left flank, Bigger ordered. Yes, sir. Send the 5th, 6th, and 7th regiments, Bigger said, frowning, and attack with tanks, gas, planes, and infantry. Yes, sir, Gus said again, saluting and clicking his heels. For a moment, they were silent, facing each other, their shoulders thrown back, their lips compressed to hold down the mounting impulse to laugh. Then they guffawed, partly at themselves and partly at the vast right world that sprawled and towered in the sun before them. Say, what's a left flank? Gus asked. I don't know, Bigger said. I heard it in the movies. They laughed again. After a bit, they relaxed and leaned against the wall smoking. Bigger saw Gus cup his left hand to his ear as though holding a telephone receiver, and cup his right hand to his mouth as though talking into a transmitter. Hello, Gus said. Hello, Bigger. Who's this? This is Mr. J.P. Morgan speaking, Gus said. Yes, sir, Mr. Morgan, Bigger said, his eyes filled with mock adulation and respect. I want you to sell 20,000 shares of U.S. steel in the market this morning, Gus said. At what price, sir? Bigger asked. I just dump them at any price, Gus said with casual irritation. We're holding too much. Yes, sir, Bigger said. And call me at my club at 2 this afternoon and tell me if the president telephoned, Gus said. Yes, sir, Mr. Morgan, Bigger said. Both of them made gestures signifying that they were hanging up telephone receivers. Then they bent double, laughing. I bet that's just the way they talk, Gus said. I wouldn't be surprised, Bigger said. They were silent again. Presently, Bigger cupped his hand to his mouth and spoke through an imaginary telephone transmitter. Hello? Hello, Gus answered. Who's this? This is the President of the United States speaking, Bigger said. Oh, yes, sir, Mr. President, Gus said. I'm calling a cabinet meeting this afternoon at 4 o'clock, and you, as Secretary of State, must be there. Well, now, Mr. President, Gus said, I'm pretty busy. They're raising sand over there in Germany, and I gotta send them a note. But this is important, Bigger said. What you gonna take up at this cabinet meeting? Gus asked. Well, you see, the niggers is raising sand all over the country, Bigger said, struggling to keep back his laughter. We've got to do something with these black folks. Oh, if it's about the niggers, I'll be right there, Mr. President, Gus said. They hung up imaginary receivers and leaned against the wall and laughed. A streetcar rattled by. Bigger sighed and swore, God damn it! What's the matter? They don't let us do nothing. Who? The white folks. You talk like you just now finding that out, Gus said.
Thank you. That was funny. Okay, so we have Kennedy Morgan here, and she'll be our final. Perfect.
Sorry. So this first one I'm going to read is about how my ultra-white high school tried to make my prom Harlem Renaissance themed and failed really hard. When unnamed high school announced that prom was Harlem Renaissance themed, I felt proud. I was happy they would do their best to honor the history of 30% of their students, and if they didn't, the students would say something, right? I researched for my outfit. I looked at my history and tried to get as close as I could on my limited budget, and I found my dress. My mom found accessories, and it felt good to look like heroes did. To dress like the wealth of knowledge and culture was an honor and a privilege, and I got to the fancy hotel hopeful. And I was let down, and I was let down hard. Y'all, let me tell you, it hurt. It hurt to see history so grand and beautiful, diminished to pillars thinner than I am. They played no music. Well, none that mattered anyway. While everyone danced to Yo-Yo Kid, I looked around. The servers, the janitors, they were black like me. The patrons and my classmates were not. I left early. I got in the Uber trying to understand why I felt so betrayed, and trying to understand why those pictures don't hang proudly on the wall in my dorm, and now I think I get it. Thank you. The second one is a response to Ralph Ellison's book, The Invisible Man. Sorry, no. To the managed to bend light and make yourself invisible, and I congratulate you. I applaud your use of your privilege. But while you covered your hole in lights and managed to disappear, I sit. I sit in the space that you left. You have left. You've left me. You have left me to be object of desire, left me at the mercy of hands that grab too tight because bruises don't show up on brown skin. You have left me unguarded and unloved. You have left me in pieces to be devoured because you did not treat me like I was whole, I was body. And now I am sought after in the pieces you left me in, industry, built to look to mimic parts of me that aren't celebrated when I am one piece. You fucked a white woman knowing she did not want you for the man, but she wanted you for mystery. Then you turn around and expect me to still be object of desire, to still be in the pieces waiting for you, waiting for your praise and your acknowledgement. I'm not sorry that you have mistaken me for your stolen parts, stolen bulbs and phonograph. Fuck you, invisible man. Sincerely, the woman you left in your place.
Can we just have a round of applause for all of our guests? Ooh, I have chills. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Please take the food. I will eat too many cookies if you leave them.